Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, welcome to another Wicked Horror Show. I'm Kevin, and as always, I'm joined by Tony.
What is going on, people?
And we have Angel from That Strange Show again. How you doing, Angel?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Pretty good. And Tony, would you like to introduce our very special guest?
I will. Tonight we have the director of the movie Murder in the Woods, Luis Iga Garza. Hopefully I said that right. I usually mess up on the name, so they'll attest to that.
Nice.
No, you did. It's pretty good.
Congratulations.
How's it going?
Thank you. Greetings from LA.
Yeah, and we had you on like 3 years ago when the movie was in festivals, and now it's available streaming on Prime. And is it just on Prime or is it like everywhere?
No, it's everywhere. It's Vudu, Fandango now, Google Play, iTunes, and it's actually back in theaters. We re-released it in theaters, limited theaters, mostly in California and Florida, in April 9th. And we are going into our third week, and we are in all the Southern California drive-ins.
Oh, nice.
We're opening in Atlanta, in Starlight in Atlanta next weekend, in the driving. And it's pretty cool because we're playing with Mortal Kombat
Nice.
in those drive-ins. And
That's awesome.
We're also in Westwind drive-ins in California, in some Brendan theaters, we're some Harkin theaters. So yeah, it's very exciting because our biggest market is Hispanics, Latinos, and African Americans. Actually, we're doing very well with this movie, and yeah, so that most of the theaters were closed when we opened in we opened it in August 14th of 2020, and actually I was able to rebook it again for Halloween. So the first time we were on theaters for about 6 weeks, the second time another 6 weeks, and then this time we are going on our third week.
Nice. That's awesome.
I think with the especially, I guess with this whole pandemic and whatever, I've heard nothing but like drive-ins pop up more than I ever did before.
Yeah.
So I guess in essence, a bad thing could turn into a good thing because I've never been to a drive-in, but all I hear is people, we're going to the drive-in theater this weekend. So from a bad thing that maybe you can't go into the theaters, you got drive-ins now. So
and it's slashers are always been used to go watch them in the drive-in back in the day. So just kind of like and this movie is totally a throwback love letter to the movies I grew up watching. I grew up in Mexico, so I watch a lot of like B-type horror movies from El Santo, and then also we would get the American movies from John Carpenter and Wes Craven. So Halloween, Friday the 13th, all those are the inspiration for this movie. That's
it would be cool to see this in the drive-in. Like we have some drive-ins around here. It'd be cool. Like I literally have one right down the street from my house, and I've lived here for like 10 years now, and we've never gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're gonna have to. But there's one there's a big one in Mendon, Mass. That it's pretty nice, and we've gone there. But I'm sure we'll be doing a lot more of that this year. Although some of the theaters around here are opening again.
Yeah.
But I just went to one this past weekend, but that was scary. I mean that's awesome that you're able to get into all these theaters and stuff, and that it's doing well. So yeah, I mean it's good. You brought up that there's like the Latino community and African American community are really kind of, but it's a good movie. Like either way, like it's at the end of the day, it's a good movie.
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, everybody likes it, but it's like some. So we got a lot of the horror fans that are more on the slasher subgenre, right? Because there's a lot of horror fans that like heavy horror or spiritual horror, a lot more gore, like Mortal Kombat gore, or more. And you know, and this is a slasher. So I think a lot of times because Danny Trejo is in it, people expect something else. And no, it's just you know, it's like an '80s style slasher with, you know, attractive teens that, you know, are gonna get slashed. And you know, when I was growing up, what I liked about those movies is, you know, I would bring dates on them, and you know, girls get scared, they hug you. You know, it's like a lot of, you know, it's when you have your hormones the most wild, you know, you're a teenager, right? So, and you see attractive people on the screen and doing stupid things that you're doing at that age too, like
Right.
you know, going to the mountains and drinking in the dark and just hiding from your parents and doing stuff you're not supposed
But
to.
at the
So
same time, too, you're not going too far with it. Actually, Angel messaged me and he's like, "Is this something I can watch in the living room?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." But it's, I'm like, "There's drug references and there's like sex references, but they don't go all the way, you know." And
yeah.
so I mean, they're there, but it's also not too much where it's like, okay, if a kid walks through the room, it's all right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, I mean it's R-rated. I mean it was it's so funny because when I made the movie, so we never say the age of the characters. We never say if they're in high school or they are in college. So when I was making it, you know, I thought high school just because I grew up in Mexico, and in Mexico, you know, you can drink when you're 18. It's a, you know, and then when the MPA was asking me about are they in high school or in college, I had to say college because here you have to be 21, right?
Well, they could pass, you know, they could definitely pass. But at the same time, too, those actors could have also passed as like a senior in high school. But you are moved there.
Yeah.
And how weird is it that you just mentioned that you only have to be 18 to drink in Mexico? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty awesome. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm 45. Like ever. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. So that's so it's interesting, you know. And you know, I lived all over the U.S. Actually, I went to school in Connecticut.
Oh, really?
I went to UConn undergrad. Um, half of my I graduated from there, but before that I was in Alabama and in Mexico in Monterrey, and I transferred around. I ended up at UConn, and then, you know, I've been to Boston a lot. I had some friends there that I visited all the time, and also lived in Miami. I lived in West Virginia, in Alabama, in New Orleans, in Northern California, in the Bay Area, New York City. So I kind of have a pretty good lay of the land of the U.S., right? I have friends in all these places, and it's amazing how beautiful this country is and how each state, in a way, it's a bit like a little country, like in Europe, right? You know, people have their own mannerisms, food, what they like. You know, it's been really good. So as a director, has helped me a lot. And you know, with this movie, it's hard to get a balance between you know, what Latinos act. You know, Latinos are more dramatic when they're acting. They're bigger, you know, they're bigger just because that's who we are. We're bigger, we're louder. Americans are more, you know, reserved. So, you know, to get a balance for the actors that could be relatable in both cultures, that was something that was challenging. But I think I was able to do a good job. And it's funny because for the most part, all the Latinos say they like these characters, and all the like Americans say they like the other characters. It's literally almost the opposite. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think lots of solid choices. Like there isn't like a lot of times, you know, you can be like, oh, that's the weak link right there, kind of, you know, whatever. But I thought everyone was great, very, very believable. And it's something where like my wife isn't like a big like slasher person, but I think she would dig it because it reminded me of like a lot of the shows that she watches as well. You know, like it has that almost like the newer 90210 that's from like however many years ago. It almost had that vibe, but then with you throw Danny in there and like then you throw some blood and some references to drugs and references to sex.
Yeah.
And you know, but yeah, it was a good time for sure. So, but Angel, we haven't heard from you too much, and I've been talking.
You've been talking. No, I some of the stuff that you're saying, like, yeah, I agree. It was like the characters were believable, and like you said about the you know, the Latin being more expressive and all that kind of stuff. I did like that some of them were going back and forth, you know, from English to Spanish, and then like even like some of the sayings and stuff, you know, in between the scenes. But yeah, and yeah, they definitely could pass for college students. But
Yeah, you played it safe there, and it worked. It worked out.
it works. It works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I dug it. It was awesome.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Now you were talking, you know, it's not like a gore fest or anything, but it does have its fair share of, you know, blood and sometimes guts and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things like, did you want to go fully practical, or did you want to go, you know, CG in some of it too, or how did that all work out?
So I love practical effects. Actually, what got me into movies when I was a kid was practical. Like watching, I used to love building models and watching Star Wars, and back in the day was all made with models, right? Miniatures and everything. So that I really loved. And then also Halloween, I would always do my own makeup. I love blood. I love using my hands, so I love practical stuff. And actually, for the gunshots, I wanted, to have squibs and everything, but it's too expensive. It's a lot of prep work. It's so, and we shot this in 12 nights, 13 nights and 2 days. So it was overnight shoots because we couldn't afford to shoot night for day and all that. So, so I'm all about practical, and most of the effects you see are practical. Only obviously the shots that you see fired, those are VFX. But I'm all about, I love movie magic because I'm about like just making something that doesn't exist real with practical. So we're figuring out how we're gonna do like the bong shot, how it's gonna look like, it's coming through. When he, I don't know if we want to give spoilers or not.
By the way, since we're already there, that was my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like I was thinking when I was doing the movie, when we're like developing the movie, because I didn't write it, Yelena wrote it, my producing partner, and but the ideas of the killings were, that's where I came in. I was like, they need to have a meaning. If you see everybody died by what they love, what their obsession is. So that's something that was important. And then how can we show it in camera, and how we can make it with a small resources as believable as possible. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's a funny horror movies, slashers, especially slashers, are like, they're scary, but everybody on set is just laughing all the time because anything that can go wrong will go wrong, right? Like the blood was supposed to go this way and it goes the other way, and then it goes into the camera lens. Even though you put a shield, it found the perfect angle to like jump the shield and get into the lens. And then you gotta so, and we actually had a Panavision grant to shoot the movie, so we shot it with an Alexa in Panavision lenses. And we had the new filmmakers grant, and so that was amazing. And so we had to be very careful with equipment, and a lot of times that actually when you're making like a fast-paced movie, it actually drags you back because you have to be so careful with equipment, and it's heavy equipment versus when you're doing like a smaller camera and DSLR, you can move a lot quicker and things like that. But obviously the look is not as good as, Panavision lenses look amazing.
Yeah. Just real quick, I just want to point out one of our regular Sergio is in the chat, and he commented, and it's something I didn't think would ever come out of his comments, but we were talking about the drive-in movie theaters, and he's like, you know what they do in the back seat of the drive-in? And I'm like, Sergio,
watch a movie, right?
Watch a movie.
I'm assuming do homework. That's what I did. Or I would force myself to fall asleep because my dad would take me to movies that I should not be at because they were too scary. So I would force myself to fall asleep to get away from it. Like he took me to see Christine in the drive-in when I was a little kid, and I'm like, all right, I better fall asleep so I'm not here. But yeah, thanks, Sergio. That's
it's a good one.
It was a little bit of a perv. But anyways,
yes.
But yeah, so you were saying before we went live, like, so, it took you, how many, like you said, like 14 days, 15 days, or night shoot, then a couple days shoots. And this was going back. When did you actually start? Because so this is for people that aren't movie makers like us. We're not movie
Yeah.
makers. And I just want to point out that Sergio just commented, "Make love."
Yes.
All right, Sergio.
Make love, not war, right?
Exactly.
Yes, with that very special gal. So you've been working on this for a very long time, and it's finally to the point where the masses can see it. Because when we had you on 3 years ago for this, it was in the festival circuit.
Yeah.
And so now it's available to the masses. And just explain how long this process has been going on, because it's crazy to me. Like, it's crazy. Like, we have filmmakers that have made movies years ago that we still have not been able to see.
Yeah.
But it's just baffling to me. But anyways,
I mean, the independent world, we're a micro-budget movie, even though we have Danny Trejo. And again, we shot with an Alexa package, but it was literally, we paid $1,000 for an Alexa package that's worth $100,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. So, so it takes time. We started developing the story in November 2014. We shot in February 2015, and then we did our first festival, which the movie wasn't finished. It still needed color correction, but it was a Guadalajara International Film Festival here in LA, so it's a very good festival to start in. So we ended up, that was the premiere, and it was in November 2017, and then because of that, IMDb decided to give us the freaking date of 2017, and we're like, it's just a festival. Right, until this day they won't remove the date, so we are dated in IMDb as 2017, which is annoying. And then we did the festival route in 2018. We were getting offers from distributors, not the majors, like smaller distributors. And before I was a filmmaker, I was a marketer and an entrepreneur. So a lot of creatives don't have that ability, that business savvy side. So I was seeing like all the offers were abusive, right? Like we would never see money, right? And I have to pay, even though there's not a lot of money, I have to pay the investors. So then I was like, you know what? I need to do something about this. So I ended up learning the distribution business, the theatrical distribution business, and the VOD distribution business, which is what they do. The smaller companies don't put they don't put the movies in Amazon. I mean, Amazon you can, but like Vudu, the other platforms, they have aggregators. So a lot of these distributors, you go through the same aggregators I went through, right? So it's just a lot of middlemen, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you never, as a filmmaker, you never make money. So I was able to cut all that fat with the process. We did the booking. I did the booking of the theaters myself. I literally called the buyer. So I went to their convention and I met a bunch of the buyers and learned how the theater worked in 2018. And we're supposed to release it in 2018 in 600 screens. I had put a whole budget together, a whole plan. I designed, because the poster that you see behind me, I also designed that poster. All the graphics that you see, I've actually done myself.
Nice.
The animations that you see on Instagram and stuff, they've been done by myself and my friend Carlos, he's been amazing in helping us out. He's in El Salvador. So, and crazy enough, all the investors are from El Salvador.
Oh, wow.
Like 90% of the investors are from Salvador. We have some that are Mexican American and stuff, but it's actually a full Latino backing.
That's
also
awesome.
on the financial side. So we came together as Latinos and we made this movie with almost a full Latino cast, but it's a people of color cast because Cade Wise, who plays Jewel, he's actually from Algeria, and he grew up in New York. Yeah. So, but it's so funny because when we did the audition, and he did, we told him to, we explained the scene, and he was gonna die, and he was dying on it. When he died, I was like, oh my God, this guy has died before. That's how he got the role. It was like the way he died was amazing. So anyway, so we ended up postponing it because of that, because the financing fell through for the 600 screens. But I had the whole plan done. I created a standee a full-size standee that was going to be in the theaters with Danny Trejo cut out and all the teens life-size so people could take pictures with them. And then I was in 2020. We were about to do it again, but then the pandemic came right in March. So we're like, you know what? Let's just do VOD. So we ended up getting into in demand. So we're on the cable boxes, and they gave us a premiere date of September 18th because it's Hispanic Heritage Month.
Oh, nice.
So we planned it that way. And then soon after that is Halloween. So it was like a plan. And then in June, I came back to LA because I spent part of the pandemic in Miami because I got stuck there because I was on a trip there when it started, and I didn't want to be in airports. So then we got these deals. So I flew back to LA in June and started working on the distribution, and all these drive-ins started popping up. And one of the publicists that we were working with were like, we know this person that it's in the drive-in business. I'm like, that's great because I know the hardtop business, but I don't know the buyers of the drive-in business. So through that, we were able to get into drive-ins, and then we got into some theaters, and then I kept booking whenever I saw once we went out of we lasted until 1 or 2 weeks after September 18th. I think we lasted until the last week of September, and then October came along, and I was like, it's Halloween, so I was able to start booking it. We premiered again October 23rd, which was the weekend before Halloween. It was a great space because there was no movies coming out, no new movies coming out that weekend. So we came out that weekend, Maya Cinemas, and we were in about, I believe, 45 screens the first time around, then 45 screens again, and then right now we went up to 32 screens. So then we lasted from October until the week of Thanksgiving. And then we ended up releasing theatrically also in Qatar and the Emirates in 20 screens on each in December of 2020. And then, then we're, available on VOD and everything. And we're talking to other territories. But then the California theater started opening. And we thought it was a good idea to reach out to them, to the ones that we haven't played in. And they took us in, and it's been very... it's been very, very successful. People are liking it. They're going to see it. Especially, like I said, the drive-ins are really enjoying it.
Yeah. I would totally. I mean, if I started driving around here, I would totally go. I mean, it's like we rented out a movie theater this past weekend, and it's a movie that I've seen a billion times, but I'm like, but I haven't seen it on the giant screen, so I want to see it there. So we rented out a theater and watched Heavenly Creatures like on a giant screen. But it's, I mean, it would just be cool, like that's
another cool thing that happened because of the pandemic is like you get to rent a whole screen, so you can bring your friends and watch a movie, and or play video games now too.
That was the thing. It was like the guy that we rented it with. He was just like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing a Mario Kart like night. I'm like, what? He's like, I can bring the Switch and we hook it up to the screen and just do Mario Kart. I'm like, yes, because it's $100 to rent this theater. And you can 25 people. It's like cheaper than a movie. So
wow.
So
it's pretty amazing.
Sergio's asking what your favorite horror movie is. Like what he asks this every week, so I knew it was coming. But yeah, do you have a favorite horror movie or something that's influenced your love of horror? I guess.
I mean, for me, like the first one was Friday the 13th. Like as a younger. Again, because of the and you'll see the similarities in a way with Murder in the Woods. You'll see the homages to that. But then The Hills Have Eyes, I really like that movie.
Nice. Yeah.
And when I watched The Hills Have Eyes, it was probably one of the first movies that I watched without seeing the trailer. And that's when I learned, like, I don't watch trailers anymore. I'll watch trailers after I watch the movie. And movies are so much better.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. There's been a lot of movies. I mean, it's a curse now. Like I watch a lot of trailers just to see if something piques my interest. There's so much stuff out there, but there's so many trailers out there that really don't represent the movie that great. So it's
They
like the
give you
trailer
too
might look
much.
awesome. Yeah, they give you too much, or they give you stuff that's just not in it. Like,
Yeah, you're like, I can't wait for this scene, and then you watch and you're like,
oh yeah, that's
what the
not
hell's the scene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, we
especially
got
like
cut.
comedies.
Yeah.
Comedies. They give you all the good jokes, right?
Exactly.
And then you go watch them, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Now,
so that's
going in blind sometimes is the best way to
yeah.
consume things.
Actually, it just popped up in my head. I was trying to think. There was a trailer that we just discussed on another podcast, and the original trailer for the Wolfman from 1941, I think. There's a slight shot of him fighting a bear, and they filmed him fighting a bear in the movie, and the bear escaped, so they never used the footage. Yeah, but they put it in the
I
trailer.
like what bear?
Yeah, bear who?
Never had a bear
Yeah.
on set.
That's
You're
Bear
crazy.
guy.
That's funny.
The
Yeah.
Wolfman, yeah, but not the bear.
Yeah. Oh, he was fighting himself. No, but but yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes, especially with comedies, yeah, they give you all the funny stuff. Like all the best jokes are in the trailer for the most part. But but then again, too, I mean, there's so much stuff out there. Like I'm watching way too much Netflix, and I'm watching way too much Shudder, and way too much everything. So it's like, I kind of have to either that I'll read the description. Like some things will like be like the new Barbara Crampton movie that's coming to Shudder soon. What is it? Jacob's wife, and the trailer looks really good, and the description looks really good, but at the same time too, I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch the trailer. Like, I've seen little bits and pieces of it, but I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch. I mean,
She's Jacob's wife.
The movie Nobody. I just watched the movie Nobody in the theater too. And it was kind of the same thing. I just heard people say that they were liking it.
Mm-hmm.
My friends were saying, "Have you seen Nobody?" And I was like, "No." Because you should check it out. It's great. And then they would tell me what it's. I was like, "Don't tell me what it's about." And then I went to see it completely blind. So at the beginning, I'm thinking like, this is a story about this poor loser, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then it turns into a total badass, and it's great.
Nice.
I mean, the fights are great.
Is that the Bob Odenkirk movie?
Yeah.
I haven't watched the trailer either. I love Bob Odenkirk.
I love him. He's like, I love Better Call Saul, and obviously Breaking Bad.
I'm going back to Mr. Show with Bob and Dave.
Yeah,
back on HBO.
Show.
Oh yeah,
The one, did he do Kung Pao?
No, that was his. It's another person with the last name Odenkirk, but it's not. I don't even think they're related, which is weird. But I got the confusion too when I first saw that. I don't know.
I definitely want to check out Nobody.
Nobody's good. It's good. It's like it has good fight sequences, and it's entertaining.
It's something different for him too, because he doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever done anything like that. But
No.
So one movie that I watched the trailer and it totally sold me on the trailer, and I watched the movie and I'm like, this is not the trailer. This is not the movie I watched the trailer for. Was The Witch. Like I didn't think The Witch really. I thought the trailer was much better than the movie.
Oh, come on.
I'm dead serious. I didn't like the movie at all.
Wow.
Same thing with It Follows. I didn't like that one either. We can argue all day.
Yeah.
We can argue all day long.
Shut this down. Shut this off right now.
I mean, that's a challenging part. It's especially
it's subjective.
Studios. Yeah, right. I mean, the big studios have to do that because they got to make their money back, so they have to sell you on it. And sometimes he works, sometimes he doesn't. Because now with social media, word of mouth, people get a feel of it, and
right.
With all the pre-screenings that they do now as well to get word of mouth going, it's harder to play that trick on the audience. And and the audience, especially in the US, is so evolved at consuming content because there's so much, right? Like you say, there's everything. There's everything. There's every Disney Plus, Netflix, Shudder, anything under the moon, AMC. So it's so much content that it's a more developed audience.
And that may not be a good thing sometimes. But I find myself just watching old stuff. Like I almost watch nothing new. It's all like, hey, I'm going to rewatch this, or like Breaking Bad or whatever. I'll just rewatch this. I'm on like season 6 of Law and Order SVU. So I'm 22. I'm way behind, but I started from episode 1.
Nice.
So,
wow.
I guess. But
Stabler looks young now. Like
Mariska. I watched the
new one,
recent one because of the new show, and I was like, wow, they've both aged horribly. Like they're still great, but I'm like, Mariska Hargitay's voice is wicked deep now, and I was like, whatever. Hey,
I'm here for you,
Yeah.
But talking about the audience, like, you know, I think the other problem with that too is, especially with the, you know, social media, everyone's a critic nowadays.
Oh yeah.
And they're not a good critic. Oh, this movie sucks. Why?
And that's it.
Because it sucks.
That's it. Yeah.
Why?
Oh,
I didn't like it.
Yeah,
okay, and that's about it. And it's like okay, well, I don't listen to half of it, like Rotten Tomatoes and all this stuff. I never listen to that, because then you got like these other critics that are like, well, it didn't fit my and it's like they have like some of my favorite movies have like a 10 on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm just like, well, I'm not listening to you. Then some of the worst movies out there have like a 90, and I'm just like, how is this like possible?
Yeah.
But nowadays, you know, so many people can see it. It's stretched over so much. But then again, it's just like you look at most of the people that watch movies. I wouldn't listen to them if I had to, because I don't know, their entertainment and my entertainment is, I guess, two different things.
Yeah,
Perfect
but
example,
you might
shirt right now, and
you know what?
He's wearing a Reptar shirt right now, and he likes Garbage Pail Kids movie.
I don't like your shirt, Tony.
It happens.
I don't like your shirt.
I'm not gonna.
I never said you had to listen or watch or do anything that I've watched.
I got my favorite guys right here.
There you go.
The baby.
There's no Leatherface. There's no Leatherface. That bugs me.
No Leatherface. Yeah.
I'm a Leatherface man myself.
You're a Leatherface man.
Yeah, that's my favorite. But anyways, so we were talking about trailers. I have the trailer.
They've been duping people for years. They
forever.
On the cover of Intruder, they said Bruce Campbell was in it, and he was in it for like 2 seconds.
Wasn't he in the trailer for Congo as well?
Yeah, he was in that for 2 seconds.
And that's literally his only scene in Congo.
Like, what was that?
It's so funny that you mentioned that. You know that movie Passengers?
Yeah.
They, you know, to sell the Latinos, they literally, Andy Garcia is in there for like literally a second, right? So in every trailer, you know, it was Andy Garcia, and then you just watch the movie. It's literally at like 2 seconds at the end.
Literally, they're in like an airport. Someone's like, "Hey, look, there's Andy Garcia." He's like, "Hey," and then that's it. Anyways, I want to play the trailer for the movie. So for those that are listening, go to YouTube and just do a search for Murder in the Woods trailer, and you'll see some cool stuff. But for those that are watching, because this is going up on YouTube and it's also going to live on Facebook for a while. So here's the trailer for. It says a fun, scary slasher. I don't know what the description was, but Murder in the Woods. So here we go.
This is Danny Trejo calling all my horror fans out there. Watch Murder in the Woods. It's awesome. Be careful. A lot of roadkill out there.
Girl, you are not wearing that. That screams never getting laid. And let your hair down.
I can't believe you're making me go.
Jesse's gonna be there.
Jesse, I'm picking up the girls. I'm gonna be on my way. You ready?
Be careful!
You kids lost?
No, officer.
It's Sheriff. How far you going?
To Crystal Hill.
Be careful. A lot of roadkill out there.
This place looks creepy. Okay, why is the rocking chair rocking by itself?
Ooh, maybe it's a ghost.
Stop it.
I'm not gonna tell you again. Get off my man.
Girl, please. Those leftovers are all yours.
Didn't you hear the emergency broadcasting? Everybody's supposed to evacuate.
Our friend Celeste, she's out there in the woods.
Guys? Hello? Stop messing around.
You shouldn't be going anywhere.
You're gonna confess a secret because you think we're all going to die. Don't.
What is it? Just say it.
Sometimes I think it's a serial killer, sometimes I think it's a demon.
Come out wherever you are!
You came to protect us.
I came to get laid.
There you go. There's a trailer.
Hell yeah.
That's a good trailer. I think it represents the movie.
Well, Jules told you what he was there for.
So anyway,
awesome.
So I'm sure I asked you this the first time, but what was it like to work with Danny? Like, he just seems awesome.
Danny is he's the sweetest man. I mean, the guy has more energy than an 18-year-old. He's seen 75, 76 at his now, and he's just a sweetheart. I mean, he just wants to be on set. He doesn't like to go to the green room and be doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be on set. He wants to be shooting. He's there to do what he's gonna do. And you know, outside of the set, he's just an amazing human being, helping people all the time. I mean, here in LA, he's always you know, he has a donut shop. He has a canteen. He has cantinas. He has Trejo's tacos.
Yeah.
Coffee, donuts. Now also brew. They have beer. He has his own beer.
Wow.
So, but you know, he's always on the street. You know, feeding the homeless, soup kitchens, giving talks to inmates. Because he was, I don't know if you've seen his documentary.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the documentary, but I definitely know his story. I've definitely heard his story.
Yeah, and I knew his story too, but the documentary, when you see it, I mean, I didn't know some of the things he did. I mean, like, you know, robbing a store with a hand grenade, that's crazy.
Well, I have to watch the documentary now because I didn't know that part either. So
so it gives you a lot of good, cool, like, you're like, you knew it, but you're like, oh my God, like, he took it to a different level.
Yeah, totally.
So, you know, and then he did a 180 and he's been clean since, and he's just an amazing human being. So working with him, he's a smart actor. I mean, he's a real actor. And, you know, like most actors, like Halle Berry in The Call, like, there was something, you know, the script said, but he didn't feel the character would do that, you know. So Halle Berry said no. So we, you know, the writers figure out and the director figure out something. Same with Danny. There were some things that were like, you know what, I don't feel this is the character. So we ended up changing some things, and you know, he's an amazing actor, and he becomes a role, and he brings a lot of him in, which that's what you want actors, right? You don't want an actor that just reads a page. You know, you want, even though you know, you want somebody that gets into character and is a character, and that's him.
Yeah. One opportunity at a convention, he was actually at a Rock and Shock Angel. That this was, I don't know how many years ago, and I was low on money, so I had to pick who was I gonna get, and I was like, well, I'm sure I'll see Danny at another convention, and I have never seen him at another convention since. But the other guy that I got, I had also never seen him at a convention, but I figured I'd be more apt to see Danny at a convention, and that was the last time I've seen him at a convention. But I'm kicking myself. There's a few of them out there, and he's one of them. But yeah, and he just, seeing him interact with people and everything, he just seemed awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And I think what made me go to the other person is that he had no one at his table. So I'm like, all right, I feel bad. I'm gonna go get an autograph from him. It was Alex Winter from Bill and Ted. I'm a fan of him from Freaked. So like I wanted to get a picture from Freaked. And there was no one there. So I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to Alex Winter for a minute. And then Dana Trejo had a line. So I was like, he's good. I'll go help out Alex.
Yeah, with Danny Trejo, I think I read a couple months ago, I think he saved someone from like a car accident or something. And I'm just like, you know, this guy's a badass on TV and a badass, you know, in real life.
Because of stories like that and the other things about his life, he was actually on The Masked Singer this season. Yeah. And I totally was able to figure out who he was because of some of the hints. And I'm like, that's totally Danny Trejo. I know it is. And my wife and I watched the show, unfortunately. But it's cool when you see someone like that on there. I'm like, all right, that gives it a little bit more like, all right, I don't feel so cheesy for watching Masked Singer.
You don't have to explain yourself.
Yes, I do.
Everybody has their guilty pleasures, right?
I'm sorry, but I'm watching The Masked Singer tonight.
Guys, I apologize. Masked Singer.
My wife.
Oh, my silly wife. Yeah, she's working late, but I still have to watch it on my own.
Yeah, actually, I have the Danny Trejo. I met him at a convention the first time, and actually, that's the Machete Kills poster signed by him.
Nice. Yeah, he pops up in so much stuff, like going back to like I don't even know how long. And so before you even really knew who he was, I knew who he was, because I'm like, hey, that's the guy. He was the bartender in Anchorman, and like then all of a sudden he gets getting more lines, and I'm like, this guy's amazing. He's awesome. I want to buy his tacos.
I remember him from like Dusk Till Dawn and stuff like that. So at that point in time, he was like, I don't want to say like quintessential like Latino in horror, but I guess if you had to pick one, it'd be like, okay, Danny Trejo has been in so much, between horror. I mean, a little bit of everything. So, I mean, he's spanned every genre you can think of. But I remember being young and being like, okay, he's a badass in this movie. And then, like, Machetes come out and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, he went from this genre to this genre. So you have to give it to him.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the reason why he's made so many movies is because he just likes to work. Yeah. If he's not shooting a movie, if he's not like he likes to be active. So if he's not shooting a movie or doing some charity event, feeding the homeless or giving a speech, or working on his restaurants, he's at home with his dogs. He like if you tell him, hey Danny, we're gonna fly you, we're gonna open the movie in the Dominican Republic. We don't have money to pay you, but we have sponsors that'll fly you there. We'll give you a nice dinner, a nice hotel. He doesn't want that. He's like, no, like he doesn't want. He just wants to be working. He wants to be, he doesn't care if he's gonna be staying at the most luxurious hotel or he's gonna stay at a regular hotel. As long as the work is good, he likes the role, he likes the character. He's in.
That's probably why we don't see him at too many cons around here anymore. Because we're in Massachusetts, so
yeah,
I'm sure he's more apt to do him in LA because he's close to home.
Yeah.
And close to work, really, but yeah. So, is this movie going to be getting like a physical release as well?
I'm working on that. Yeah, I'm working on actually authoring the Blu-ray, and I also, I'm looking for things to put on the bonus features. We have some behind the scenes footage that haven't been shown that I'm going to put there, and also the audition tapes. We have some of the auditions. We recorded the auditions, so it's kind of cool to see the progression from when they did the auditions to some of the to the film and some of the BTS footage that we're going to put. So, but again, because I'm doing everything, it's taking me longer than expected, and also they switch. I used to do everything on Anchor with Adobe, which it's a great authoring software. It was easy to use, and now they don't support it anymore. So now I'm using another one which is less user friendly, but is the one that is used by all the studios. So it's less WYSIWYG, is more coding and things like that. So but it will. I'm hoping I can get it done the next after this theatrical run. That's what I'm going to focus on. And then we also gonna keep probably in the next 2 to 3 months come out in Tubi as well, and a lot of the AVOD platforms. Or maybe we'll do the Blu-ray first and then the AVOD. So that's what we're figuring out right now.
Yeah, Tubi's great. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, it's something where there's a lot of really cool stuff on there that I don't think people realize.
Yeah, and it's like watching TV. It's commercials, right? It's free content. It's like watching ABC. It's like you get to watch stuff, but
it's uncensored completely. Like there's movies I've seen. I'm like, wow, they're showing this on like a free thing. This is crazy.
Yeah,
but I don't know. But so learning the whole workings of like distribution and stuff. Is it like a side thing you're gonna be doing for other filmmakers, or is it something you're just gonna focus on your own work?
Actually, I'm thinking about releasing other films through this distribution company. Now that I have the knowledge and the contacts, so it is something that I have a site that I'm gonna be. There was a guy that was my manager, and then he kind of became my assistant in my company. And then with the pandemic, he had to go do something else. But he was very hands-on where we were talking to the buyers back in 2018 and everything. So I'm thinking about maybe bringing him to run this side of the business and take other movies and do limited releases strategically.
That's great. Yeah.
And again, doing it in a way that filmmakers don't get completely killed.
Yeah, because we hear it a lot. Like where there's a lot of people like, yeah, I made nothing off of that movie. It's like, what? This is crazy. That's a legendary movie, and it's like,
yeah.
And that's with the like collectors, like Kevin, myself, Angel. I'm sure whenever collectors hear like a limited run of something, that's when it's like, that's everybody goes and runs for. When you have a limited, especially collectors, they're looking for that, like, not the one that has 50 million copies, and you're like, okay, I just had, but then the ones that you show off, and you're like, look, this is number 5 out of 150 or 1,000 or something like that. That's what
special features too, and that's something where you see a lot of bare bones releases out there. That's like, I'll grab it because it's a good movie, but it's like I'd rather get the one with the special features. I just want the option.
And that's like what you're saying. You're doing your own Blu-ray like mastering type of deal. So I mean, it sounds like you're one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Well, that's the crazy thing too. You're talking about independent people, and I don't think what most like your normal fans understand is a lot of your directors and stuff. They wear like 10, 15 hats, and it's just like what people don't realize is how hard it is to, it's different when you got a huge budget behind it, when you have 150 people or more than that, I'm sure. But independent, it's a handful of people doing 10 different jobs, and I don't think the mass majority of people who watch movies understand that. So
and for example, like and I mean literally, like the graphics that you see are created by these hands. I have I have this laptop here, like it'll do some transcoding while I'm working on this other computer, and then I have my server down here, and then I have this laptop here. So when they're rendering, exporting, doing things, I'm doing emails on this one. So so it's and luckily I'm good with technology as well. Like, growing up, I love building computers. I started building computers when I was like 15 years old. So I understand technology, understand, the website. I coded the website myself. Any changes, every Thursday I update it with the new screens, all that. So, the trailers, I had a great, an amazing trailer editor. And then, then I got it from him, and then I fine cut it, did the graphics and things like that. So it's a lot of work because I don't have, usually you hire people to do all these things. And in this case, I have to do it myself, to save money because we don't have a big budget. But also
at the same time, if you're doing it yourself, it's like you have the say, like you have the final. So it's like, all right, I'm going to do it the way that, like, as opposed to having to go back and be like, I don't have the money to have you redo it, but I didn't like this about it, and I don't like that. It's like, it's your vision. So
you edited and
no. So as a director, you never want to edit your own movies. The first time around, like the first pass, I love, because remember, like what I love about filmmaking is it's a collaborative effort, right? A lot of minds come together from the development of the script to so producers will give you notes to the writer and director, and so the editing, Ryan did the editing first, and then we couldn't pay him anymore, and then I took it and then I fine cut it, I changed some things, but when you have somebody else do it, they'll things that were in your head, he does it a different way. Like, oh my God, I never thought about that. Yeah. And that's why it's always good to have an editor do a full pass. I actually love editors that there's some editors that won't even read the script. They just look at the footage and put it together. Mm-hmm. With some of the continuity notes and things like that from the script supervisor. But other than that, it's I love giving that freedom, and then and then you see what they did, and then some things you like, some you don't, and then I ended up, and also we ran out of money, so I had to take it and then doing the editing here, and finish it up, and now when I'm exporting the cuts, for example, when we had to do the deliverables for the VOD, I was exporting them here. I just sent. They needed a different way of delivery in Spain because the sales agent now is in Spain, and so I ended up, redoing what she wanted and then export it and send everything to them. So they have it over there, so they can create a DCP over there and the deliverables over there for the VOD platforms. So it's
take notes. Take notes, people.
Yeah. Just think of how much that would have cost you to pay someone to do all that.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, it's you really are becoming, like I think Angel said, you're becoming a one-stop shop, and that's awesome. That's it's a good idea, especially for independent filmmaker, and plus like that some people in the industry may take advantage of independent filmmakers, so now you can be like, hey, I'm the honest guy. You want to work with me because I'm not going to rake you over the coals and take all your money and give you nothing. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, a lot of there's a lot of middlemen, and that's the issue.
Like you said earlier when you said the aggregators, so you're paying someone to go to knock on that door for you, whereas now you can knock on that door yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and for example, the aggregator that we ended up using, I know he's releasing movies from other smaller distributors, right? But the filmmakers don't know that. They know, they got the distributor, right? And then the distributor hires this aggregator. They already has the relationships with the platforms, because the platforms are not gonna, like, even if I were to sell directly my movie to Netflix is not gonna take the movie from me. I have to go through an aggregator that is approved by Netflix. Why? Because it's like everything. Because Netflix knows that aggregator is gonna deliver on time, on spec, QC'd, everything to the specs that Netflix wants. So that's what they have, these aggregators. Unless you're obviously a big major, then obviously you have your direct in. But the smaller distributors, they end up using the same aggregators, and so right there you just skip one of the middlemen. And some actually have various, like, it's like a person, and then it goes to the aggregator.
Wow. So on top of all this, like on top of like all the work you're doing for this movie that has taken like so long to get done, and it's but you can see it. I mean, it's it's a quality movie. It's not like it doesn't look like a micro budget movie at all.
Thank you.
But so
that was actually one of my notes on it, and I was like, this actually looks like awesome. It looks
like visually,
like,
it's a lot of really good choices. But
then you said you had the Alexa package.
You're like, oh, there you go.
And I'm like, okay, that's like big boy stuff.
Yeah, but again, it became with the hustling of actually. So we applied for the Panavision grant, and Panavision grants are usually for art like movies, not for this type of movie. So they declined us, and then one of my good friends, Bobby Gold, who I met in the call, and he's a Oscar-nominated set dresser. He did The Artist, he did Master and Commander, he did Hitchcock. His father was Hitchcock's AD, in Psycho and other movies. So we become really close friends, and he's become a mentor. So I took him to Panavision. I was like, Bobby, let's go to Panavision, talk to these guys.
I got Bobby Gold here.
He wants me to get this package.
And no, and seriously, like, the guy that was in charge of the program wasn't there, but his boss was there. And then he recognized Bobby, and they worked, I don't know how many pictures. And he's like, oh, so what do you need? I'm like, oh, it'd be great if we can get this, and that. Oh, yeah, don't worry about it.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
That's
so
awesome.
It's like, you don't take no for an answer, man. Like, if you know you can deliver, if there's a lot of people that BS, and then they get, and then they can't deliver. They end up screwing people over, and things like that. So that's, you shouldn't do that. But if you know you have what it takes to deliver something, and your word is your bond, then you gotta, you can't take no for an answer. You gotta, chase. As long as you can deliver, you gotta chase that dream.
Yeah. And so do you have anything else in the works as far as like any other movies that you're going to be working on?
Yeah. So right now I'm writing one. It's more on the action thriller side. And then some friends wrote a really cool horror one that we're pitching. It's it takes place in a plantation in New Orleans. So I really want to do that next. So we're pitching that one. And then during the pandemic, when it started and there was not a lot of creativity to be done, I did a sock puppet show called Billy the Sock. And we ended up doing 7 like 2 to 5 minute episodes in Miami, just literally my roommate, my friend that I was staying with, and myself shooting with the phone, and then having people from around the world shoot their own things and then put it together like they were having Zoom conversations. And I got really good. Actually, you know that I got really good actors from Mexico to help me out. Eugenio Siller, he's one of the leads on that new show, Who Killed Sarah, which is a really hot show right now. And so one of the lead actors, he's a friend of mine, Eugenio, and he's blowing up right now. And he helped me out with Billy the Sock. He's in one of the episodes.
Where can we see this?
If you go to billythesock.com, it'll send you to YouTube.
Will do. This up right now.
He's like a crazy, the story behind it is he used to be he had a show for kids on YouTube. They got really famous, so he got to his head. So he became this jerk. He's like this womanizer jerk. That the fame got to his head, so he's just like a little, and now he's freaking out because he's quarantined because of the pandemic. So we ended up just doing 7, but it was fun.
That's pretty fun.
Then we have another. We did a proof of concept animated comedy, dark comedy called Hotel California with a K. And we did a little pilot that we're pitching around. That's an awesome fun animation too. And then we did another animation that we got John Cryer as an executive producer, and we're developing it with his production company.
Nice.
Awesome.
So,
yeah, you're keeping busy. That's great.
So
that's fantastic. But yeah, so we're right about time to wrap up. So we definitely want to shoot people towards going to see Murder in the Woods. If you're in an area where it's playing in a theater or a drive-in, go check it out. And if not, you can get it on VOD for the time being, and then keep your eyes open for a physical release. So I know we have. Let me see. There's a bunch of links that, and so for people that are listening, where can people find more information about Murder in the Woods?
So if you go to murderinthewoodsmovie.com, that's the best place to go. That's a one-stop shop. All the links to all the platforms, the theaters, and all our social media links are there. On we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. But if you go to murderinthewoodsmovie.com, you'll find the links for everything there.
I have to check out the TikTok. If it's anything like Tony's TikTok, man, I don't know. Tony's on TikTok, but he just does nothing but twerk. So
yeah, I'd be kicked off very quickly if I did that.
The red light trend.
Yeah,
whatever that newest trend I'm doing. Yeah, okay.
There's one TikTok I saw. I don't know. It was hashtag #egirl, and you had your tongue sticking out the whole time. And,
you didn't say the magic word.
There's the thing where he pulls his shirt and it changes. Like, oh, hey, I'm magic. Anyways, so Angel, where can people find more information about you, sir?
You could just follow us at That Strange Show on Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. Me, Mandy, and Ryan are on there. And check us out on Spotify and iTunes. I think iTunes. I know they're doing something funny with the iTunes right now, but yeah, Spotify for sure.
Yeah, it's a really good show. I enjoy it. And I've been lucky enough to be on it a bunch of times, so I appreciate it. And I appreciate every time you come over to give us a hand here as well. Hey. Tony, where can people find you?
You can find me at Tony Has 9 Fingers on YouTube, where I do movie reviews, unboxings, anything movie related. I'll be on there. Tony Has 9 Fingers on TikTok, which I do not twerk.
Oh.
I do not do those trends. I do movie reviews and such. Tony's Movies on Instagram, where I show off the movies behind me. And, of course, here every Tuesday on the Wicked Horror Show. Kevin?
Just a quick question. If I was to do a deep fake where I put your face on someone else's body that's twerking, would you put it on your TikTok?
Oh, my God.
I wouldn't have put it on my TikTok. You would have to make one yourself. And then I give you permission to post
Challenge accepted. Anyways.
You fucked up now.
Listen, at that point in time, if that blows up because of that, maybe I'll start twerking myself on my own Instagram.
About to go viral
Instagram,
for all the
TikTok.
wrong reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Viral in a different way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find me A-Knuckle on Instagram every Tuesday night doing the show live with these guys. And also I'm on Black and White Fright and Secret Underground Hideout, all of which are on the Dorkening Podcast Network. And I do movie reviews with the 13th Wolfman on the audio side of the Wicked Horror Show. So that's about that. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks, Sergio, for your disturbing comments about making love in the back seat at a drive-in.
Extra butter.
And have a good night, everybody. Goodbye.
Thanks
Go
for
watch
having me.
Murder in the Woods.
Thank you, guys.